Let me move that. Hello and good morning or good early afternoon now. Chris here, aka Kermie, and welcome to another episode of Reading with Kermie. Hope everybody's having a good day so far, and it is Friday, but it's my work week Monday, which is fine. I don't mind. It's a little weird having my weekend when everybody else having a work week, but you know, I adjust. I've done it before in the past, and it's adjustable. Sure is. Well, now we are on Reading with Kermie. Dun, 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 dun. We have reached book 3, ladies and gentlemen. Don't stress the small stuff at work. And the last Reading with Kermie, when I started this, was the first chapter. But when I started it, I was announcing that I was going to give away book 1 and book 2. For whoever claims it, for whoever messages me first, that is still on. Nobody's claimed it yet. So if you message me and we can share info, and you can have those 2 books for nothing. How's that sound? So let's get started on chapter 2. We don't stress the small stuff at work. All right. That is titled Become Less Controllable. So let's see what we have here. See what inspiration lies within the chapter. When I talk about being controlling, I'm referring to unhealthy attempts to manipulate the behavior of others. Having the need to control your environment, insisting on having things be just so, in order to feel secure and becoming immobilized, defensive or anxious when other people don't behave to your specifications. The way you think they should be. To be controlling means you are preoccupied with the actions of others and how those actions affect you. To put in the contents of this book, people who are controlling sweat the behavior of others when it doesn't match their own expectations. Guilty. See what this brings. I made several observations about people who are controlling. 2 in particular. First, there are too many of them. For whatever reason, there seems to be a natural trend toward controlling behavior. Secondly, the trait of being controlling is highly stressful, both to the controller and to those who are being controlled. If you want a more peaceful life, it's essential you become less controlling. One of the most extreme examples of controlling behavior I've heard of involved, of all things, paper clips. A lawyer at a top-flight law firm had a penchant for certain things to be done in certain ways. Not only the big picture things, but very minuscule things as well. This fellow liked to use copper-colored paper clips instead of the silver ones his firm provided. What could be more important than that? In parentheses, question mark. So he had his secretary buy his own private supply for him each week, and then even reimburse her. In quotation, didn't even reimburse her. If something came to his desk with the wrong kind of clip, he'd fly into a rage. He'd become known in the office as the paperclip king. Okay. It probably won't come as a big surprise that this guy was almost always behind on his paperwork. And his work for his clients suffered. All the time he spent getting angry over petty things slowed him down. The paper clips were only one aspect of his controlling behavior. He had rules and regulations about everything from how his coffee was served in a special china cup and saucer, and to the order in which he was introduced in meetings. Ultimately, his controlling behavior turned off one too many of his clients, and he was let go from his firm. Whoa. This is a very This is a very unusual and extreme example, yet if you examine your own behavior, you may find areas that you are trying to control that are futile or just plain silly. I encourage you to take a look. A person who's controlling carries with him a great deal of stress, because not only does he or she have to be concerned with his own choices and behavior, but in addition, he insists that others think and behave in certain ways as well. While occasionally we can influence another person, we certainly can't force him to be a certain way. To someone who is controlling, this is highly frustrating. Obviously, in business, there are many times you want to have a meeting of the minds, or you need others to see things as you do. You have to sell yourself and your ideas to those you work with. In certain instances, you must exert your opinions, influence, and even power to get something done. There are times you must insist on getting your way or think of clever and creative ways to get others to think differently. That's all part of business, and that's absolutely not what I'm referring to here. We're not talking about healthy, normal attempts to come to a meeting of the minds of balancing points of view. We're also not talking about not caring about the behavior of others. Of course you care. Rather, we're discussing the ways that insistence, singular thinking rigidly, and the need to control translate into pain and stress. What hurts the controlling person is what goes on inside, his feelings and emotions. The key element seems to be a lack of willingness to allow others, people, to fully be themselves, to give them space to be who they are, and to really respect the fact that people think differently. Deep down, a controlling person doesn't want other people to be themselves, but rather the image of who they want them to be. But people aren't an image of who we want them to be. They are who they are. So if you're tied to an imagined image, you're going to feel frustrated and impotent a great deal of the time. A controlling person assumes that he knows what's best. He or she knows what's best. And by golly, he's going to make other people see the folly of their ways. Within the need to control, there's an inherent lack of respect for the opinions and ways of others. The other way to become less controlling is to see that the advantages of doing so. You have to see that you can still get your way when it's necessary, yet you will be less personally invested. In other words, less will be riding on other people being, thinking, or behaving in certain ways. This will translate into a far less stressful way of being in the world. When you can make allowances in your mind for the fact that other people see life differently than you do, you'll experience far less internal struggle. In addition, as you become less controlling, you'll be a lot easier to be around. You can probably guess that most people don't like to be controlled. It's a turnoff. It creates resentment and adversarial, whatever that word is. Maybe you guys know what I'm trying to say. Adversarial relationships. As you let go of your need to be controlling, people will be more inclined to help you. They will want to see you succeed. When people feel accepted for who they are rather than judged for who you think they should be, they will admire and respect you like never before. Ooh, that was kind of a long chapter, but that was a good one. Yes, life is a lot more pleasant of a place and brings more pleasant of days when I am less controlling or want things my way, like the book explained, and it doesn't always go that way, of course. As also the book explained, I was trying to reflect back as I was reading that to times not only of I was trying to be controlling of other people at work, but upset when people aren't doing things I want them to do, or the way that I think at the time things should be. It is very stressful, it causes lots of pain, and as the end of that chapter explains resentments and whatnot. And, I recently walked away from a couple relationships in my life where I felt like we were bouncing that control off each other a little bit, and those relationships, honestly, who I walked away from, I'm still confused and conflicted a little bit about. It still comes up in my daily thoughts and head, and what the heck was that about? Was it best to just walk away? But you know what? At the time, I know in my heart it was. But and there was a lot of controlled behavior involved in all those relationships, and like I said, and I had to do what was right for me at the time, and what will happen is what will happen. If we come back together, we'll come back together in life. But anyway, life is a lot easier when you don't have to control the other person or other people at work or at home and wherever in life. You know what I mean? People are going to think the way they think. Of course, we are individuals, but we can still come together as a whole and work together no matter who you are. It's life is just a lot smoother and goes with the flow a lot easier in all areas. You know what I mean? And yeah, that reading got me pondering, reflecting back, seeing moments in time where I can change my behavior, and that's awesome. I can take a few minutes of reading kermie and find that into a chapter I read, and I'm hoping I can share something positive and something inspirational with you guys who are listening. So on that note, yeah, brain fart. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go. I got to get ready for work in a little bit. So I'm just taking that moment of silence to myself now for a few moments. And peace be with you all. Hope you guys have a great day.